다자 키 템바 냠메 투베원비 샵지돌 트마메 발랑 고비 랍도데데 고스음 그바쳔비 샨터싱 잡수 치우 다자 키 발덴 람마 리다 찡꾸리잔주 찹다 가든 송만메베 때르점본 조기 샵지돌 트마메 발라 고비 랍도데데 고스음 그바침비 찬서진 접수 치우 나도 심지 탐지지 주 진지라버 제도 솔 원나 남카다 냠베 심지 담전 남전 안나메바 양다바 조베 산지주 공파를 못처럼 거버려 차 대체도 달람 담배 취삼모 제발라 취님비 공론다 군주 넘버다베 센찰 I was requested by the Faculty of Arts, University of Ljubljana, contemplative science study. So this respected institute, which requested me to talk on 6 yoga and Mahamudra, and also to teach a short meditation, all in 1 hour. It is honor to serve the audience, which is actually original purpose of Buddha Shakyamuni attaining enlightenment and manifesting teachings. He manifested teachings in a conventional manner for 45 years, and its manifestation later compiled into 100 enormous volumes. This is translated from Sanskrit and Pali, mainly Sanskrit, into Tibetan language, which I am deeply honored to receive the transmission and also go through it in one occasion, and then parts of it in many occasions. Of course, then there is 225 volumes of the translation of commentaries that are written by great enlightened masters of India, and that were translated into Tibetan language, that is known as Tenjur. So Buddha's word is Kanjur, and the commentary by great masters is Tenjur. So that is the base of the entire teaching of Buddha. And then, of course, I'm mentioning Tibetan language, but this is also translated into many other languages, Buddhist countries throughout the world, mainly in Asia. Then in Tibet, the great masters of the follower of Buddha, who are enlightened, their writings, compilations, amounts to several tens of thousands of volumes. And so that way, the subject that you want me to talk about is Mahamudra and Six Yoga. And Mahamudra is described as Tollam. That means path of liberation. And Six Yoga, that aspect of teaching is described as a Tablam, path of methods. Pretty much same, but one involves visualizations and exercises, and so there is 6 levels, 6 particular practices. So that way it is methods. It involves deity, it involves recitation, it involves visualization, and so on and so forth. Now Mahamudra, of course Mahamudra also involves recitations and visualizations, some part of it, but mainly it is direct meditation. So without too much of that kind of like 6 yoga, 6 aspect of method like that, the Mahamudra directly, of course, following the methods, but evolving what is already there in each and every one of us. So that are the differences. And a similarity is both is for us to awaken our innate primordial essence, which is perfect at all time. But we don't realize it. And many times we don't even know it, or even aware of it, not even aware of it. So that is the purpose of the both Tablam and Tollam. But then methods are quite different. Because at the end I'm going to give you a short, very short meditation, and also very easy to do meditation. The purpose of that is meditation is working with the mind, mainly. Of course, our mind is right now functioning through our body, our speech, and our brain, and the entire system. So that way, working with everything, and therefore, there's so many methods, and some of the methods are very powerful. But if we get it wrong, it is very powerful also. So therefore, why I say simple, easy to do, means that I'm doing my level best to make sure that those of you who will try this meditation or seriously practice it, then it have a very little risk of going wrong. Of course, anything can go wrong. Even you drink too much water, it can be a problem. Even you eat too much medicine, it is also a problem. So you have to do it properly. But this kind of meditation, which I'm going to teach at the end, is very safe if we do it properly, as I share with you the same way at the end. So because of that is more related to Mahamudra, so I will talk about Mahamudra second, and I will talk about the 6 yoga first. Okay? All right. Now, the 6 yoga, when Tibetan master such as Marpa went to India 1,000 years back. We celebrated Marpa's 1,000-year birth anniversary about 10 years back. So 1,000 years back. Then he went to India through Nepal 3 times during his life, and he met so many great masters. He described as more than 100 masters, Indian enlightened masters, Mahasiddhas. So from them he received enormous amount of transmission, and out of them 13 of them he considered his main gurus, the masters, and out of them 2 of them he considered his very most let's say most precious, holy, sacred master, although all of them, but 2. And that is Naropa and Mahamudra. So from Naropa he received so many tantras, so many empowerments of tantras. And also he received so many rituals and rites, the lineage of transmission of all of them. And essence of all of that put together is 6 yoga. So 6 yoga is actually essence of all of these tantras, the main tantras. So some of the tantras essence is the first one, some of the tantras essence is the second one, so on and so forth. So then 6 yoga, the essence of all the tantra that he have received, essence of all the empowerments that he have received. So the first is in Tibetan language, Tummo. So many writers and lecturers and teachers describe them as a practice of fire, insight. Now, this practice is actually to develop the true bliss of the mind through physical warmth and bliss. And then through that you realize the ultimate essence of yourself and everyone and everything through the bliss, through the joy. This is mainly if we combine the two terminology of Mahayana teachings of Buddha and the Tantra teachings of the Buddha, although this is a Tantra aspect of teaching, but then it will say the oneness of joy and emptiness. So emptiness, not just empty, but when you think of yourself, when I think of myself, my body, my name, my education, my position, my duty, my ability, my disability, my strength, my weakness, that is how we identify ourselves. But actually, our true essence is none of that. We worship Buddha, of course, historical Buddha. We have Buddha image representing Buddha with the relic of Buddha inside and the mantras enshrined inside and consecrated, and the presence of Buddha is invoked in it. So we worship it. But all of that is very, very, very important for us, because we call this body and this name me. When somebody asks me, who are you? I will use my name. And then, what is your qualification? Then I will say such and such and such. And then if they say, what is your weakness? Then I will say this and that. So that is how we identify ourselves. The same way, we also need an image of Buddha up there, something to visualize, something to focus on, something to receive blessing from, something to pray to. So all of this is exactly the same dualistic thing. But the purpose of all of that is to realize the Buddha insight. In essence, you are Buddha. All of you, each and every one of you, you are the Buddha. Some of you intellectually know what it means. Some of you have experience, you felt it, but some of you maybe have some realization, some enlightenment of it. And Buddha Shakyamuni, right now you are celebrating the 25 centuries of the Buddha's teaching, Buddha's life of the Buddha Shakyamuni, 25th century you are celebrating. So 25 centuries back, under the Bodhi tree at Bodh Gaya in India, he attained the realization, the ultimate realization, not just experience, realization, enlightenment. He became the Buddha. Buddha means fully awakened and fully mature. Ultimate awakening, ultimate maturity, ultimate realization. So that is exactly for the same reason he taught the Dharma. Because he knows each and every one of us, all human beings, then all animals, then all gods, then all asuras, then all the sentient beings of all different levels. In the teaching of Buddha, there's so many levels, and every single one, from the smallest to the largest, from most advanced to the very basic, everyone's essence is Buddha, fully pure. And then now, since I know now my essence is fully pure naturally, but my manifestation, this body, this speech is very far from perfect, far, far away. So many limitations, so many shortcomings. So, emptiness means ultimately all of us, all of our shortcomings and the limitations, dualistic limitations, are void. That doesn't exist. Philosophically, we can understand that. Practically, before we understand this and after we understand this, very much the same. But the difference is, before we understand this, then we think this is us. This is me. You know? My shortcoming is me, let's put it that way. My ability is me and my disability is me. That's how we think. But after we know this, then, yes, this is me, but this is my temporary, relative manifestation of everything that I have done and I have said and I was thinking for countless lifetimes. Outcome of this is this. And then that means ultimately I am same as Buddha. You are same as Buddha, ultimately. Relatively not. So, the emptiness of the true existence of our limitation. And that is ultimately we have no limitation whatsoever, even right now. But until we know it, it's as good as we don't have that ultimate potential. When we know it, it makes difference, but still we struggle through it. And then when we progress and reach Buddhahood, for Buddha Shakyamuni himself, it took him, the calculation is slightly difficult, but it took him about 3 trillion eons to reach Buddhahood. from first moment he realized that he wished to be Buddha, to liberate all mother sentient beings to become Buddha. That is original bodhicitta that he have taken. 3 trillion eons in the past, in another universe, in front of another Buddha. So regardless of all of that, then the emptiness and the joy in unity, through which you realize the nature of your perfect essence, through this warmth and this fire energy. And so that is the first of the 6 yoga. Now the second yoga is Julu, illusory body. Illusory body means this body and this environment is very much here as a relative truth, but it is not ultimate truth. Illusory body. I give you a very simple example. A toddler, let's say if I am a toddler, very small baby, come into this room, everything is totally different in his or her perception from elder person like me. When I reach this age, my perception of everything, how I see, how I perceive, how I interact is totally different. But it was same me. I was a toddler, I was a kid, I became a adolescent, I became a young person, I became reach middle age, then now I reach late middle age or mid-middle age, I don't know. I'm 69, so I don't know what you call this. So everything we perceive differently. But as a toddler, that is true to him or her. As a grown-up person, that is true to him or her. But that is relative, isn't it? And then ultimately, everything have the same essence. Everything is a manifestation of you. Everything is a manifestation of a Buddha. When you realize the realization of essence of you as well as essence of everything and everyone as it is. So all of these 6 yogas, we can relate this subject, we can relay this subject into it, incorporate and resonate through each one of the 6 yogas. Then dream. Everything is a dream. Right now, we are dreaming the life dream. Then when we sleep, we dream the sleeping dream. And the sleeping dream ends when we wake from the sleep. And life dream ends when we die. And every day is slightly different dream. So that is also for the same, it also resonates the same thing as the first and second. Now the third is the dream. The next is clear light. Clear light is we go into a transcendental state. And when we reach the transcendental state, then everything becomes clear, because we transcend from one reality to another. As a practitioner, we just get there and practice it, and then we come back. Because from the first session, we will not reach Buddhahood. Now this practice is enormous, but each one of them enormous, but this one I give you a very simple example. When we go to sleep, then many times we just lay down, then we fall asleep, and then dream comes. Sometimes no dream, sometimes dream, sometimes nightmare, sometimes fantastic dream. So in between that period, we lay down and feel kind of comfortable, and then fall asleep in between that. That is threshold between the two reality. The reality of life dream and the reality of the sleeping dream. So in between that is clear light. I give you my personal experience, very superficial aspect of my experience. When I fly in huge aeroplanes, and if I'm a little bit tired, then if I just lean back and fall asleep, then the clear light become let's say natural thing in quite several occasions. Why? Because I'm tired, I'm going to fall asleep. But because aeroplane's noise and also slight vibration which is there, because of that, it is not like sleeping in our very comfortable bed on earth, but we are in the sky and moving many miles per hour, and of course we are moving not as fast as our earth is moving in the sky. You know, earth have to go around the sun one time in every year, and it has to move many miles per second, isn't it? No matter how fast our aeroplanes are, they are not moving that fast. So that way, it is a superficially fast moving, but as a result of that, it disturbs the sleeping process slightly in a very gentle way, so that you relax and fall asleep, but in between you this clear light, one of the clear light, because clear light have so many levels, but this is a threshold between this life and this dream and the sleeping dream, in between. So there, when you are aware And then everything is totally different experience. Not of this life, but something totally different. And the experience of transcendental state of this threshold is very actually accessible to all of us. For me, when I'm in a car or in a train or in a ship or in an aeroplane, or I'm just waiting in some kind of a big let's say a public area, and sitting there, and everybody is talking, so many different noises, and then there I'm about to fall asleep, then reach that state. So that is one example. Anyway, clear light have many levels, many aspects, but that is one aspect. That is the easiest one for us to practice. So I'm going through the superficial aspect of it. Now next is Pardo, intermediate. So intermediate, there are 6 aspects of intermediate. This life is also intermediate because it's in between birth to death. But then this one is, this part of the word is more focused on one aspect or 2-3 aspects of the six pardo. That is moment of death, and then all the way through until we are conceived into next life. In between that is some aspect of 6 pardo, and that is most of the time understood as pardo, intermediate. So this. And then the poa. Poa is transferring consciousness, but this happens when we die. When we die, naturally, our consciousness, our essence of our mind, not just the mind. Mind is a very complex subject. This terminology is very complex, but essence of mind is not complex. Who is talking about the mind? Who say, what is mind? It is the mind. Who say, I don't understand what is mind? Do I have a mind or not? So that is mind. After I'm dead, my brain will be still here, but there will be no mind. You know? So anyway, this transferring from this life to next. So that is practice of poa. Now I give you I go back one more time and give you a superficial description. Let's say, tummo, the first, I will say first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, okay? You remember the 6 yoga. The first practice in the daytime, of the daytime. Second, practice at all time, daytime as well as nighttime. The third, the dream yoga, dream practice, dream yoga. So practice at night or whenever you are sleeping. Then fourth is practice at the night or whenever you are sleeping. Pardo, practice in between this life and the next life, but we are practicing it in this life. But actual Pardo, that Pardo will take place and we will go through it when we die, after we are dead, before we are conceived into next life, in between that. The power, the transference of consciousness, that is practiced at the moment of our death. So, we transfer from this existence to better existence, next life. If possible, to enlightenment. If that is not possible, then to one of the pure realms of Buddha. The pure realms of the central, east, south, west, and north. Pure lands of the Buddha. 5 Dhyani Buddha, which is ultimate liberation from each one of the relative shortcomings and defilement. So, 5 wisdom. And 5 defilement transforms into 5 wisdom. 5 defilement is ignorance, lust or greed, aversion or anger, ego pride, and jealousy. So these are the 5 defilements. And when we transform them into their ultimate, then it is 5 wisdom. In our physical body, in our brain, in our head, in our crown, it represents the central, the front, which is east, always east. Our east is here. Doesn't matter where the sun comes and goes. That is the east of that particular locality. But our physical east of the crown is east is here. Therefore, south is here, therefore, west is here, therefore, north is here, therefore, central is here. And these 5 Dhyani Buddha, their pure environment is, we call, pure realm of the 5 Buddha, etc. There's countless pure realm, equivalent to countless impure realm. Because when it is transformed, then it is a pure realm. Just like there is about 8 billion human beings on earth. I'm just talking about humans. The men and women, the humans, boys and girls, babies, old person, young person, adolescents. So, each one of them, when they reach Buddhahood, their surrounding is pure environment. and they themselves is the Buddha. So that way, each one of all sentient beings' shortcomings, definition of that is the ultimate aspect of that shortcoming is non-existence of that shortcoming. That is the wisdom, the emptiness. And so that is definition of countless pure environment and realm. But I think for us we need a little bit of limitation, isn't it? So five pure land. So transferring from here to there. So that happens moment we die. That's where we practice. But actually practice means where we apply. But we are practicing right now when we are not at that stage. But where we're going to apply it is when that happens. Okay. So these are the 6 yogas. And each one of them are enormous. I give you one example with the last one. How enormous it is. We can transfer our consciousness from this body to another body right now if we have the lineage and we practice and we have the attainment and the siddhi of that. That means if we find another physical body is let's say without the mind. So if we find a perfect body who died naturally and whose body is not damaged, then you can transfer your consciousness from your body to that person's body. And then if you wanted to exchange your consciousness, you can transfer to that person's body, and if that person has to be a practitioner, great, equally, let's say, adept, so that person's consciousness can transfer into your body. And you will be him or her, he or she can be you. And this is done, not nowadays, but in the past, during the time of Marpalotsawa, his son, Dharmadode, was the master of this. And so this lineage, if we practice Powa, then it is not only during the death, but during the life also. But of course, it's not for fun, you know. We cannot play with any one of these practices. Purpose of this is for enlightenment. And but how deep and how enormous each one of these practices is, I just described Powa with these two. And this is, each one of it, if we look with kind of very scientific mind, each one of it is mind-boggling, really enormous. Now, that much for the 6 yoga, and a little bit about the Mahamudra. Mahamudra is a Sanskrit word, and it is translated into Tibetan as a Chaja Chimpo. Chaja Chimpo, it explains very clearly its quintessential meaning. Every relative manifestation or relative truth is the relative truth of the ultimate truth. Relative manifestation of the ultimate essence. So now I give you a very simple example. Of course, we meditate, certain meditation methods. There's thousands of meditation methods in the teaching of Buddha. Specific methods. We follow them as it is. Through that, we can cultivate and progress and awaken towards enlightenment. And enlightenment in one lifetime is possibility, of course, but it has to be true enlightenment, not just experiencing something, some fantastic experience, which is very good. For us, we need experience. When we experience, then we know what we are involved with, what we are talking about. But experience comes and go. It is like, let's say when I was studying, I memorized several thousand pages of text for prayers, rituals, and Buddhist philosophical texts, and also texts that involves grammar and poetry. Several thousand pages. But that ended when I was 22. So from 22 to 69, many of them I am not encountering regularly. Therefore, I forgot them. But many of them I'm encountering. I'm practicing them or teaching them or like that. Therefore, I remember the whatever I have memorized. It's there. I'm not saying it is bad, but that is just an example. So when we practice, then not exactly to remember everything, but progressing on the path so that we don't get lost. If we don't have the awareness and mindfulness, the true definition of awareness and mindfulness, then we can get lost. And the continuation of the progress is not there. If you are taking a long journey to reach to the North Pole, you have to follow the compass, you have to follow the map and walk. Otherwise, 500 mile you have walked, then you found something interesting, you heard something interesting, and then you go there. Then it makes you 500 further from reaching the North Pole. Then you might remember, oh, I originally thought of going to Mount Kyle, to the North Pole. Then you might start. Then you might end up thinking of something else, and then you go another direction. Then you lost 1,000 miles there. So that way, the mindfulness and awareness keeps us on the track so that we don't get lost. We don't get carried away. So, the Mahamudra. You can attain enlightenment through practicing anything. Having said that, as a principle, as a definition of the word Mahamudra or Chaja Chembo, in real practice, I rather follow the prescribed practice methods of the lineage. Then I will not get lost. So now I wanted to do a little bit of simple meditation at the end of this. So I will go through very basics of the Mahamudra. So there is preliminary practice. 12 levels of preliminary practice. And after that, physical body posture and also breathing practice, and also the methods for mind to focus. Focus in front, focus far away, focus all around, focus front as well as behind, as well as above, as well as below. All direction. So all of this is a very gradual process of the mind practice. So the body, speech or breathing, and the mind. Now, without going into too much of that, then we get lost. Therefore, there's 2 stages of the practice. That is, first, reaching the calm, abiding state of mind, which is also described as remaining in peace, in harmony. Then, once we reach to that state of mind, we have progressed our concentration many folds, and also our effectiveness and efficiency progress many folds. And then once we are able to remain in calm abiding state of mind, then everything becomes clear. And there is so many practices for this. So, early part, the calm abiding state practice is known as shamatha in Sanskrit terminology. And the later part, the clarity, is also known as vipassana in Sanskrit. In Tibetan, First is Shine, and later is Laktong. Now, this practice, you progress gradually. And then the final stages of Mahamudra is 12 stage. Each one is part of 4 stage. So first stage have 3 stage, second have 3 stage, third have 3 stage, fourth have 3 stage. Okay. To save the time, I will just give you a simple description of these 4 stages. First is one-pointed. So, basic one-pointed, advanced one-pointed, and great one-pointed, complete one-pointed. Then the second is second of the 4. Second is free of all complication or elaboration. So that after one-pointedness, then one will reach that stage. And it have basic, little bit advanced, and then great or level, greater level or final level of this particular practice or state of maturity and realization. Then after that, same taste. Same taste means it is another way of saying non-duality. So this stage is reached as the third of the 4 stage. So this one also, the basic, and then more advanced, and then greater, same taste, level of practice. Now, after that is no meditation. So, these also have basic, advanced, and then the greater maturity in this. So this no meditation means right from the beginning we are not meditating to become meditation champion, isn't it? We are meditating so that we become the meditation. So we don't have to meditate anymore. Every moment is perfect moment. As a practitioner, being a practitioner is concerned. So that is the definition of no meditation. Therefore, each one of these 3 stages, basic, advanced, and great level of it, then it becomes 12 level of practice. And the practitioner also can call this 12 Mahamudra, let's say, a sacred meditation, yogic state, you can say. Now, When I say that yogic means, what is the definition of a practitioner, beginner practitioner, and a yogi? When you become a yogi, you are not having any moment which is not practice in your life. So many people talk about practice in daily life. I always say, if you don't practice in your daily life, where do you practice? Outside of your life? Then where is it? How do you do that? That is quite miraculous, isn't it? So anyway, every moment becomes the practice. The great yogi of Mahamudra, when they reach that stage, when you reach that stage, then every moment of your life is a practice. And so that is 12 levels of Mahamudra. And of course, final of that is enlightenment, Buddhahood. We say reach the realization and of Buddha Vajradhara. And also 6 yoga also the same. You reach the realization of Buddha Vajradhara. Vajradhara means Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya of Buddha as one. Okay? So Vajradhara. Now for both this practice, Buddha Vajradhara, blue color, the color of the space, dark blue color. So that represents Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is not a dark blue color, but you cannot find a better color. Better than that, the color of really true space is, for our eyes, it is dark. Unless there's something to reflect the light of the stars, then it is dark. But close to that we can relate to is blue sky, but blue sky is not exactly the color of the space, so dark blue. And then it have all the ornaments. The ornament that represent the 5 Dhyani Buddha I have mentioned, right? So Buddha, 5 Buddha, ornament representing this, and other ornaments that represents like 6 paramita, so like this. So that is Sambhogakaya. And then the feature of the measurement of the body of that Buddha is same as Buddha Shakyamuni. So that is Nirmanakaya. All in one is Sabhavakakaya. That is Buddha Vajradhara. So we reach the realization of that Buddha Vajradhara. Okay. It is a little bit over 1 hour. I tried my best, but I couldn't get to, let's say, I wanted to feel I have explained satisfactorily, so I feel quite okay. But there's so much to say, there's so much, and I'm sure what I have told you here is not complete at all, but relatively sort of reading the index, something like that. Now let us do a short meditation, okay? First, you just relax. Relax your body. Speech. Breathing. Mind. All relax. Many times people think when you meditate you're not supposed to think of anything. But if you have to think that I shouldn't be thinking anything, that is much bigger thinking than whatever thought that comes to your mind. So don't make a big deal about it. Just focus on what you're doing, and therefore you don't have two minds right now. So we can think of one thing at a time. So we focus on our practice. Right now we're just calming down. So we focus on that. Relax your shoulder, relax every part that you feel a little bit tense. Relax all of that. Your eyes, your brain, everything you relax. It depends on how much time you have, but if you have good amount of time, then you spend some time for this practice, just relaxing. Then when you feel you're quite relaxed, then you put your hands together, left underneath, right on top, on your lap, in a very natural, harmonious manner. Not kind of stiff, but relaxed also. You keep your eyes not wide open, not closed, but semi-open, like peaceful Buddha image eye. Not wrathful Buddha, but peaceful Buddha. Like Buddha Shakyamuni, like Avalokiteshvara, like Mother Tara, like that. And you breathe from your nose and mouth together. Slow as possible, complete as possible. First, exhale. Pause a little, not holding out, just pausing out. And then breathe in slowly and completely as possible. And pause in, not hold in, pause in. That is one set of breathing. Out, pause, in, pause, then again out. So we do actually 21 of these, but that will take long time. So today we only do 7 times. But normally you should do 21 times. Because of the timing, I don't want it to stretch too much. Okay, we have done very short breathing practice and only counted 7 times. Now we just relax for a little while. And maintain that calm, abiding state of mind and maintain that clarity. And then we dedicate the merit of today's meditation teaching and all the brief introduction of 6 yoga of Naropa and Mahamudra. Marpallotsawa received 6 yoga mainly from his great master, Indian Mahasiddha Naropa, and Mahamudra mainly from his great enlightened Indian Mahasiddha master, Maitripa. So we dedicate everything so that may all sentient beings be free from all the suffering and finally reach Buddhahood. And at this juncture, we have very clear description and experience of suffering. The pandemic, the entire humanity was suffering. And at the same time, the environmental degradation, entire environment is not in harmony. And then on top of it, there is so many wars all over the world. And right now, as we all know, in Europe, between Ukraine and Russia, there is war. We know what kind of suffering is there on both sides. And then throughout the world, There's so many other, let's say, difficulties humans are facing in all continents, and animals are facing, and also the environment, the nature is actually encountering. Glaciers are melting, and ocean is rising. Many species of flora and fauna are disappearing, and so on and so forth. So we dedicate and pray that all of these problems will be solved in a most positive, harmonious way. When we pray, there should be no limitation. I'm a pragmatic person, but when I say prayer and dedication, I am not pragmatic at all. It is for the maximum, total peace and harmony, and total perfectness.
Sunamde tamje zibani tomne nyebe danam pamjene jegananje balap chubai sibian zolen rowa shu chanju simcho rimboche mache panam chejurjing jeban ba mebai kone kondon pewar shu jina dewa sosu ho pende namka chabrashu 누나 동할 다기 쿨 코와 동할 지장소 똥벌쇼